days, also with digital tools, dashboarding, a more of an interactive, dynamic way of you also interacting with the data. This is an example of some of our granular data sets. So that multicolor set you see there is each individual household being geo-referenced. And the colors, the different colors, the different income group. And this is a Joburg example, typical example of where you've got that's fine. You may see there's lots of green, which is high income, and then you've got high density, low income. So that's kind of the underlying data sets that we have at Fernridge. Well, that gives you the ability, and that's really what we're about, is about catchment analytics. We don't really do this high-level economic overview. It's really down to catchment. Our clients are typically retailers, shopping center, developers, owners, managers. So mostly retail, but also mixed use. We do a lot of work for medical groups around Africa, education groups. So it's using that catchment data. Another few of our data points around Africa, the kind of dwellings that we've mapped out. This is Lagos, there's Accra, there's Nairobi. So going to the case study, what we've done here, and I haven't been to Nairobi for a good while, and I've actually only been at this hotel that the way this goes for this trip. But tomorrow morning I'm going to visit most of these malls from where we're up. Won't be able to get to the hub and the junction that side. But this is the 10 biggest malls in Nairobi on size, square meter GLA. So we've got data sets like that as well. This is some of the demographics we've got in Nairobi. So you can see there's a legend there on the top left. The more green you see is higher income, so around Village Market, Garden City, that side, and then Karen, the hub down here. And then middle income is more your pink, and then your lower income, high density areas. So that's kind of the data we've got available. So if your center is there, we can plot the catchment and look at your income, and that's what I'm going to show you now. One of the techniques we can do with this data is a density, to look at where are the people living. And you can see this density shifting towards the eastern part of the city, where it's mostly lower income but very high density, where the bulk of the population actually lives. And the hub there, we can see that there's high income, but it's very low density, so it drops off when we look at density. Next one is, so I've taken 5 of the 10 malls as a case study. So it's not the best 5, it's not the biggest 5, it's just really so apologies if you as the owner or the manager of maybe one that missed out here, but we can do it for anyone. Yeah, and what we really, you've seen some of the base data that I've shown you, and then some of the partners that we use with is cell phone data. So we track your shoppers without you knowing it, without us knowing who they are. We don't care, but we want to track this phone, because then we can see how this phone moves, because this phone always stays on us, eh? And where this phone sleeps, I can assume that that's where your house is. If you're renting or buying, doesn't matter, that's where you're staying. So we've looked at 5 selected malls. There we go. 2 Rivers, Village Market, Garden City, Sarit, and the Hub. Okay. And with one of the first things we can do with this ping data is we can do an auto-generated catchment. So now it's not me and you argue about what's the catchment for Village Market. No, we're not pulling guys from that side of the road or this. There's the data. It's literally, it's not always a tick of a button, but it is auto-generated, so we can see sorry, that's 2 Rivers. The pink one, it's 2 Rivers. Why it's not going up north? Because the density is much lower up north. So that's 2 Rivers, that's Garden City, Village Market, now it gets interesting because look at massive overlap between Village Market and Two Rivers. This is actual shoppers at the center that we map to the house. Sarit, again, quite a dense here where we are, a dense area, and then the hub. There's a bit of an overlap with Sarit this side, but going towards the southwest, that's really dedicated hub catchment. So actually interesting to see that Garden City, yes, there's other malls, but Garden City basically have got I would say less competitive than here in the center, but also there's more potential here. But this is the kind of stuff you can see. Now, let's take one example in Two Rivers. So we can now isolate that catchment and we can pull that underlying household income demographics for Two Rivers. So remember the green and the pink and the gray. So this is Two Rivers catchment. It's just a cut out of that data set. So you can see around Two Rivers is a good high income area, and then with a bit of a mixed middle income and towards the south. But then here we've got obviously that big overlap with, I haven't even looked at Westgate. So there's lots of overlap here. Now we can pull the income data for Two Rivers, and we can see that catchment area, dwellings is households, it's families. So there's 112,000 families living in the catchment area of Two Rivers, and that's their income groups. So you can see it's very granular, real data. It's, yeah, we've got the data as well. You know, what's the GDP for Kenya and what's the growth rate in Nairobi and all of that. But this is like Two Rivers. How big is my catchment? How many households live there? What's my competition? What do they earn? What do they spend? So based on that, we can build expenditure models. So we can do consumer surveys. We can then take it the next step. We go to the mall. We can work with the managers or the marketers and run some surveys. I know if you're in mall marketing, you probably do a lot of surveys yourself already. We can link our stuff to yours and get some specifics around frequency, shopping patterns. But a lot we can gain from this cell phone ping data. And that's what I'm going to show you. This is maybe a bit too technical, also given the time, but what this gives us the ability of is to ping you back to where you actually sleep. I mean, we can ping you back within a 20-meter accuracy. So even if you know, we can probably distinguish between you and your neighbor, unless it's very high density. But we can ping it back. So there's other guys that do it that can ping you back to your suburb, but big suburbs have got various ranges of income groups. We can actually ping you back to your individual household. So this is another center that I've took here, Sarit. Again, using the ping data specifically for Sarit. So if, I don't think this clicker, no. So I need to maybe just show you what this is. So there's Sarit. So the map on the right, you can see, or on top there's 2,418 unique devices that we track. So it's not a substitute for food counters. You've probably have got food counters in there. It's not a substitute to that. It's a sample, but it's a substantial sample. I mean, 2,500 shoppers that we track. We can see where Sarit's sample of shoppers that we track, where they sleep. We link it back to their income. So we know that it's 19% of Sarit shoppers is high income. Okay, because we know it's a Sarit shopper because we geofence Sarit shopping center. We track that cell phone, we track it back to where it sleeps, and we know that household is an high income, so now we can make the accurate assumption that is an high income shopper. And now you can track other things like some of the insights that we can pull out here. What is your main, if you look at the red, the top arrow, that is, what's that, 40% of Sarit shoppers live within a 5-kilometer radius. So it's quite a condensed catchment. It's coming mostly from Upper Parklands, High Ridge, Uturi, Embakasi. So maybe you wanna do some billboard marketing, you wanna do some specific marketing per suburb. You can see what are your high value suburbs. Yes, again, you might have food counters that will give you day of the week or time of day. We can track duration because your cell phone pings once you enter the geofence for Sarit, and we can actually track you inside, and then it pings again when you leave. So we can see you've spent 1 hour at Sarit. What's interesting about this, you see there's 2 arrows there at duration. So 28% of shoppers really just pop in and out. So I'm going to go to Sarit tomorrow morning early. I'm going to see how it's a big center, but it's probably quite convenient to pop in for less than 15 minutes. But then also you've got a quarter of the shoppers staying 2 to 3 hours. It's a destination. So yeah, guys, that is. Oh, the last thing that I want to show you, another cool tool. It's not a tool. It's an insight that we can derive from this. Is cross-visitation. So to be fair, let's take Village Market now as an example. So we look at Village Market shoppers, and we can do the stuff that I've showed you for any mall in Africa, in the world actually, but our focus is Sub-Saharan Africa. If we look at Village Market, we track them back to their house at night. We also track Village Market shoppers during the day, and we can see where else they shop. Okay, now it gets interesting, like what's my main competition? So because of the proximity, you can expect a lot of cross-visitation between Village Market and Two Rivers. So actually what this says is 25% of Village Market shoppers also shop at Two Rivers, compared to the hub, what's that, 9%. So it makes sense because geography, I mean, if you live there, why would you come down here? But this is the kind of things that we can also look at. And again, it's all POPI, GDPR compliant. We can do that for you. Yes, we can do it for your competitors as well. But it's what you make of that insights. If it's important for you, if you're in Village Market, to understand, listen, to what extent should I be concerned about what the other mall is doing? Then we can look at, you know, what percentage of your shoppers are going there, etc. The permutations are literally endless. So these are some of the insights that I wanted to share with you. Quick bits before I close off. Well, this is me closing off. We can obviously do market sizing. That's really what we do, is to tell the retailer. One of our clients, for example, is KFC. So KFC catchment area, your market is 10 million Kenya shilling per week. That's your market size. And then we go to competitor, market share, all of that. Matching our income data with ping data, we can get a much better understanding of your shoppers. And we can see stuff like frequency, travel distance, how far they shop, how long they stay in your mall, and where else they shop. And who's your major competitors. And ultimately, it's insights. It should be actionable insights, but again, you can still ask the question, okay, but this is cool, but why? Ultimately, from a property point of view, you want to optimize your asset. And even if it's a case that we find that if it's a bit of a lost case for retail, then we look at maybe you should convert to other use. Then we can do that. So that's my story, guys. There's my details, or you can just Google Fernridge. You'll find us there. Okay, thank you. Thank you.